I don't know about you, but I'm a big fan of handheld gaming. I have been most of my life. I've been playing on handhelds since I've been playing video games, I suppose. I've had several of them over the years, but there's really only been a couple of them that have stuck with me. Ones that I've carried with me everywhere. My 3DS is one. I've been carrying my 3DS everywhere with me since I got it a little more than a year ago. Long before that, though, I had a Game Boy Pocket. I loved that thing. It went with me everywhere. Unfortunately, I sold it so that I could afford this, my Game Boy Color. I got it right at launch, and it came with me everywhere for a really long time as well. I played several games on this. I mean, obvious stuff like Mario Land and Pokemon. Recently, I refound a lot of my old Game Boy games in a box, and I hadn't played a lot of them in a really long time. And there were a couple that stood out to me. For instance, this one, the one I have in here now, is Game & Watch Gallery 2. Can you see if I just... Here. I have an idea. Aha! There you go. Can you see this now? If I just... Game & Watch Gallery 2, like all the other Game & Watch galleries, is just a bunch of the older Game & Watch games updated. You can be Mario or Yoshi or Peach or something like that now instead. Some of them play a little bit differently, but for the most part, they're all the same premise. You start with 5, later 6 games that you can play. Parachute, Helmet, Chef, Vermin, Donkey Kong, and Ball. In Parachute, you control Mario in a little rowboat. He's saving Toads and Yoshis and DK Juniors, yeah, plural DK Jr. for some reason, from falling into cheap infested water. Every once in a while, one of them gets shot out of a cannon too, but the premise is still the same. There's 3 positions, and you have to row in between the 3 of them in order to save them from falling. The classic version is much the same. There wasn't a whole lot changed in the updated one. It's just there's a shark instead of a cheap, a helicopter instead of a flying ship, and they're getting hung up on a palm tree every once in a while instead of falling into a cannon. In Helmet, in a nutshell, all you're doing is trying to get from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen. It's one of the most basic premises in video games ever. There's a Paracoopa above you dropping hammers and other hazards while you're trying to do this, and there's also a P-switch that you can hit to make coins appear. They give you extra points, but you're not required to get all the coins. All you're doing is go from left to right. In the older version of the game, it was pretty much the same premise. I think you're on a construction site, is what it looks like. But in this setup, it seems like each of the little Game & Watch guys can be an individual person, whereas in the new updated version, it's just Mario, and then Mario, and then Mario, and then Mario. That doesn't... there must be a warp pipe in there or something. If you restart the game, though, it lets you play as someone different, including Wario or Luigi or something like that, so that's pretty cool. Next up is Chef. In this game, you're playing as Peach, and you're having food tossed to you by Mario and Luigi on the left and right, and you have to keep it aloft with your frying pan until it darkens in color, meaning that it's cooked, and then you can let it drop to the Yoshi, who will eat it. Yoshi doesn't like the food as much if it's under or overcooked, so you have to keep in mind how cooked the food is, where it's all flying around, how fast it's going to fall. This is actually the most challenging game in the collection, in my opinion. It's one of the most fun, too. I also really like the animation that Peach makes when you drop food in the wrong part of the kitchen. I don't know why, it just looks funny to me. In the classic version of the game, there's not nearly so much to keep track of. You're just trying to keep the food aloft without letting it fall. You keep it aloft forever. You don't have to worry about how cooked it is or anything like that. On the left side of the screen, there's also what I think is a cat, and every once in a while it will grab one of the pieces and hold it for a while, and then let go of it. If you let the food drop to the floor, a mouse runs up and takes it. So that leads me to believe that this cat and this mouse are working together? That seems to go against all typical convention, but I guess it's nice to see him getting along. In Vermin, you control an orange Yoshi. Bowser has sent several of his best abortion doctors, and as they approach Yoshi eggs, you have to bop them on the head with a hammer. This one starts out fairly simply enough, but later on can be a lot more difficult due to trying to use the D-pad to move in the various directions that you have to go. I'm playing this using my Game Boy player on my GameCube, so it's a little bit easier with the analog stick, but playing it on the Game Boy Color itself is pretty tough. In the classic version of the game, all the vermin are coming at you in a straight line, so all y'all have to worry about is left and right, which is a lot simpler. In this version, it looks like you're bopping moles or some similar rodent on the head. The final title that you start with is Donkey Kong, something that should be familiar to almost anyone who's been playing video games long enough. The premise is the same as it's always been. You start at the bottom of the screen as Mario, or if you prefer, as Jumpman, and you have to make your way to the top of the screen, avoiding barrels and other obstacles so that you can eventually topple Donkey Kong from his perch and save Peach. Yes, Peach, as it appears that Pauline is not actually in this game. The original version is much the same. It's actually one of my least favorite to play, though. On the original handheld, there were 2 screens, which helped a lot while playing it, but here on the Game & Watch Gallery version, they minimize one, and when you move from one to the other, you have to hit the B button to switch between screens. Even though you have control of it, it's still difficult to remember to do, and also keep scanning both screens for hazards and obstacles. This one's still fun, it's just the one that I play by far the least. The final game, Ball, is unlockable, but before I talk about that, it's worth talking about the fact that this game has several unlockables. At the main screen, instead of going to the games, you can go to the gallery. In the gallery, you can view tips for the games, you can listen to the music from the game, and you can also look at other old Game & Watches. Most of these, and Ball, the final game, are unlocked by getting stars in the first 5 games, both the classic and the updated versions. After you've got enough stars, though, you'll unlock Ball. First, it's just the classic version. You can play easy or hard. Later, it'll unlock the modern version. I have to admit, though, that I have not unlocked the modern version. I tried. I'm just, I'm not a master at these games. I never purported to be brilliant at them. I just play them for fun. So, I unlocked the classic version at least. So, here's that. In Ball, you are a juggler, and you're trying to keep 2 or 3 balls aloft, depending on if you chose easy or hard, and you use left and right to move his hands. Ball is the most basic game on the cartridge, but it is also what gave me the idea for the next game I wanted to move on to. Playing Ball reminded me I knew I'd played it somewhere before. This is the Game Boy Camera. It was available at retail in blue, red, yellow, and green, but you'll notice mine's gold. It was a special Nintendo Power only Zelda edition of it. So mine has a couple different pictures and stuff on it, but otherwise it's identical. Oh, and yeah, both the lighting and my t-shirt have changed. You don't think I shoot all this stuff in one day, do you? From the main menu on the Game Boy Camera, you can go to 3 different areas. Under Shoot, you can take new pictures, of course, but also draw on them and put stamps on them and stuff. Let's just get just the right stamp, and there. Now it looks like I have a Force Fairy of my very own. Now I'm a true Kokiri. You can also choose several different tricks, as they like to call them, to take fancier pictures. There's multiple trick lenses, you can take a montage, panorama, and you can also redo all the pictures that show up whenever you're playing the games. Also from within view, you can do self-timer and time-lapse. The screen also features a hilarious guy that I think should be in Smash Brothers, because he is the man! All these features, and let me take this opportunity to remind you that this camera came out in 1998 with an MSRP of $50. You can also select Run? Oh. Okay. Over in View, you can just view the pictures. There's an album, and you can, you can look at the pictures. That's what View's for. The final menu is Play, where all the games are. The menu within Play is in fact itself also a game. It's like a shmup, and you have to shoot the ship that corresponds to the other game that you want to play. The other games include Ball, which you caught a glimpse of in the transition over to this. It's just the Game & Watch Ball, except the face is your face or some other face instead. There's also Run! 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 Which is you racing a mole and a bird. Again, it puts your face on it, and you just mash some buttons and try to race them. And the final game is DJ, which doesn't really involve the camera, it's just you making music. This kind of makes me think that they wanted the Game Boy Camera to kind of be like the Mario Paint of the Game Boy. When I was capturing footage for DJ, I actually wasted a whole bunch of time sitting there making this little song that I'm actually kind of proud of. When Nintendo released the Game Boy camera, they also released the Game Boy printer. You could hook the Game Boy up to the printer using the link cable and print out all the pictures you'd taken. The paper itself was pretty small, but you could peel the back off of it and became a sticker as well. After a whole lot of searching, I was excited to re-find my Game Boy printer and my link cable. However, much to my chagrin, I also discovered that thermal paper expires after a while. Everything I printed was impossible. It just looked like complete garbage. Well, for anyone else that might have been good enough, but I can do better by my viewers. So, where was I going to get new thermal paper? Well, pretty much every receipt you get is thermal paper, so I cut up some receipts, and now I sort of have thermal paper. I mean, it's good enough for my means. I'm still sad that I'm not able to print a whole bunch of stickers with my face on them, though. The Game Boy printer required 6 batteries. The batteries are most of the bulk of the damn thing, but it also worked with several other games, so hopefully you were getting a little more bang for your buck. I only have a couple other games that it worked with, including Pokemon Yellow and Pokemon Silver. It worked with several Pokemon games, also Crystal, Gold, Pinball, Trading Card Game. It also worked with Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, Donkey Kong Country on the Game Boy, Harvest Moon 2, Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX only, and several other games. Hey, thank you so much for watching. This video was a little different than my other ones, but it was still a lot of fun to make, so I hope it was fun to watch too. My next coming video is going to be even more different still, so maybe that's something you can look forward to. Besides these videos, I'm also involved in a podcast over at Dubs TV called IMO in the Morning. We do it live every Saturday morning at 11, but you can also just go over to his YouTube channel and listen to them whenever you want, pretty much. Besides that, he also has several other videos, reviews and Let's Plays and stuff like that that you can watch, so go give him a chance too. Just like at the end of my other videos, I'd also like to mention my buddy Zach. He does videos much the same as this, and since the release of my last one, he did a new one about Daytona USA for the Sega Saturn. That's also very funny and very well put together, so if you have some time, go watch it.